How's it going, everyone? College Lefty, and in this video I have for you all a couple games of ranked seasons. I'm going to be going back to the lineup that I was kind of using a little bit before. Right now, currently, I'm right around the 700s in ranked seasons. I kind of been bouncing back and forth. I previously uploaded another video using the Moments Extreme cards, and I kind of mixed up my lineup a little bit. I wanted to go back to some of these guys that I was using before. I think that this first game will be on all-star difficulty. I'm not sure what the opponent's rating was at this time, but he does have this Roy Oswalt on the mound. I've only faced this card once before, maybe twice in ranked seasons, but it's more of a rare card. I don't really see it too often. But to start this game off, I got thrown out at the plate early on in this one. Tony Gwynn testing the right fielder, and that ball just hit a little bit too hard with Rogers Hornsby to score that run. But he is able to get an infield hit of his own with Ichiro. Ichiro is an absolute glitch in this game. I've thought about going back to him and using him as well with that elite defense, 90 speed, as well as great contact. Not really the most power, but you don't necessarily need a lot of power in this game sometimes. As you see, Tony Gwynn is smacking one for an extra base hit. I don't really know what happened to his base runner. I think because he was maybe stealing third in that situation, he probably tried to go back. He wasn't sure if that ball was going to be caught. Even though there were 2 outs in the inning, I'm not really sure what happened there, but I was able to get out of the inning unscathed, so kind of unfortunate for the opponent. He easily could have scored a run in that last inning. But we do get a base runner on first there, Ken Griffey with a walk to start this one off, and then George Brett is launching one off the wall. I also got the very similar play happen to me. I was sending him back because I thought for sure that that ball had a chance of being caught. So I wasn't trying to run myself out of the inning, but luckily I was able to be safe all around the bases, hit a 3-run shot with Roberto Alomar there, and then the opponent just went ahead and quit out. So I was a little bit confused at that, but we were going to go ahead and hop into the next game. That was actually the first time I've ever used Orel Hershiser. I know he was starting in the previous upload, but that was actually played after this game. So kind of uploaded these games a little bit out of order. Once again, Orel Hershiser is on the mound, though. I used him as the 5th starter for these videos, and I wanted to see how many times he would get selected. Sometimes I don't really get the 5th starter selected that often, but he does get selected multiple times in this one, and I think he's probably the best pitcher that is not a signature series card in this game, if that makes sense. So I think that he's one of the most effective ones that I see a lot of people use. A lot of the top players use Orel Hershiser, and I hadn't really gotten a chance to try him out, so I wanted to. So in this one, he will be on the hill. We're facing the signature series Bartolo Colon, and I think that this card's also pretty good. I think that this game was on Hall of Fame difficulty, but because Bartolo Colon has lower hits and Ks per 9, my PCI size is increased. But Willie Mays goes deep with a 2-run shot after a questionable hit from Tony Gwynn there to start the game off. But once again, the opponent just quit out of this one, so I figured I would string together some of these games where I just played a few innings and then the opponent quit out. This opponent has more of a budget team. He's got a couple of the team affinities done, as well as free diamonds, free gold cards that you get, and Shane Bieber on the mound. So I've never faced this card, not even the 97 overall MVP, All-Star MVP, or anything like that. No version of Shane Bieber. I've gone up against yet in this year's game, so this is going to be a first for me. Willie Mays is knocking a base hit, pitch away in the zone, early okay feedback. It wasn't really on the ball at all, so that was kind of questionable to start the game off, but nonetheless, I'm going to try and take second base there with a stolen bag with Lou Gehrig up at the plate, and I thought that this ball was getting through, so I tried to send Willie Mays. I'm surprised that he didn't get thrown out at third base there. Thought the opponent would throw cancel and throw me out, but Lou Gehrig is also beating that one out for an infield base hit, so that was kind of an interesting play. It works out in our favor. And something else that worked out in our favor right there, when the opponent missed the ball in center field with Matt Kemp, I thought that was interesting. He has gold fielding out there. I don't really know what happened, but it was a line drive right at him, and sometimes that does happen on line drives right at you. They do say that the toughest play in baseball is a line drive right at you as an outfielder, but at the same time, I don't know what happened on this next play. We're both messing up. I hit a line drive that got by him for an extra base hit, and then I rounded the second base too much and got backpicked. It cost me a run here as Mike Piazza sends one into the gap. A little bit of a late swing, but it was hit pretty well into the gap for a double, and it would have scored 2 runs, but I did mess up with Ken Griffey I'm still trying to cash in an extra run, though, with George Brett. That's going to be tracked down in right field by Yasiel Puig, who I've never really faced in this year's game either. That you only really see those types of gold cards in Battle Royale. This opponent had more of a mix-and-match team. I definitely respect it. I know that playing these types of opponents are also challenging at times. I mean, some of these guys with more of a budget team are really good at the game, and it doesn't matter what cards they use, they're still going to beat you. And that's the way it can go sometimes. So I'm looking to try and extend the lead a little bit. We do have Adam Wainwright up at the plate right here, a pitcher that I recently put back in the rotation after selling a couple cards during the stub sale. I think that that's a pretty good tip to do. If you have some cards that you want to sell during the stub sale that you think you can buy back later for a pretty cheap price or a cheaper price, go ahead and do that. I figured I would use the budget pitcher, Adam Wainwright, one of the better pitchers in the game, a Signature Series version of Orel Hershiser, pretty much. A very similar pitcher, a very comparable pitcher. And I figured that in this debut video for Orel Hershiser, I will go ahead and include this Adam Wainwright video. It's also not just a debut video for Hershiser. I wanted to focus on the differences in the last video that I uploaded compared to this one. Hitting in this one, I mean, I've been able to score a lot more runs. Haven't necessarily hit the ball any better. I've just gotten rewarded in different ways on certain hits. I've also faced different tiers of pitchers. I'm not sure what the pitcher's feedback is like ever. I mean, some of these opponents could be better pitchers than others, and it's tough for me to tell the difference. But at the same time, I just noticed that I was squaring up the ball more consistently in this one, getting rewarded more, and the ball is just carrying a little bit more in some of these games. Also, some of these balls could have easily been caught by the outfielders. I think that he might have had a bad route on that one. I don't really know what happened in center field there with Matt Kemp a couple of those times. Same thing with his right fielder in Yasiel Puig. But once again, I mean, I'm hitting the ball to center field a little bit too often. Very similar in the previous uploads. I've hit the ball to center field, and you're not going to hit as many home runs doing that. You really want to pull the ball or wait on it, hit it to the opposite field. But anyway, the opponent definitely had a chance to come back in this game. Their bases are loaded. He had Matt Williams up, and he Q-shots that one down the first base line, and I was able to make the play. But also had a pretty good opportunity to score a couple of runs in that inning. He does tack on one there, so it's a 6-1 ball game. The opponent had a lot of hits in this one. I'm surprised that he wasn't able to score as many runs. I mean, for the team that he has, he was able to hit very well, though. I mean, here he's going to cash in a couple. At least I thought he was going to score 2. Probably he might have been thrown out there, 25 speed. But that's the thing. He didn't really have a ton of speed on his team. A lot of the guys that he was using had some power and lower speed attributes, but that comes into play. I mean, when you're using more of a budget team, you might see that a lot of the Signature Series players are at least like 4-tool players. Sometimes they're 5-tool players, stuff like that. So something to keep in mind as well. I definitely had the advantage in this game in terms of overall of my team and players that I'm using. I also brought in Pablo Sanchez later in this game as more of a defensive replacement for Rogers Hornsby. I wanted to get the diamond fielding badge at shortstop. He almost made that diving play on the previous batter. But this opponent was hitting the ball hard. I'm surprised he did not get rewarded. I thought that Willie Mays was not going to make that play. But as you can see, I mean, very similar game, basically a reverse of the last game. This opponent was lining out a lot. And the video I last uploaded, I got beat pretty good. And it was pretty much one player was the difference of the game. But at the same time, this opponent started to get rewarded more often later in the game. Very similar to what happened in the last one for me. So I just wanted to include that in there. Kind of a crazy play to end that last one. But we will be going up against another good opponent here. He's got Madison Bumgarner on the mound. A pretty similar team. A lot of players that I have on my squad are in this guy's lineup as well. He also has my creative player somehow playing second base or shortstop or something for his team. I don't know how that happens, but it is just a bug in the game. I was able to get out of the first inning, though, with Hershiser trying to settle down. This opponent was taking a lot of pitches. He was squaring up the ball as well. We see a lot of lineouts in this year's game anyway, and I think that is just a matter of who gets rewarded more often in the game for squaring up the ball. And obviously, I mean, the person that squares up the ball is going to win more of the games, and I definitely think that that's the case. But I think that with this being a part of the game, I think that oftentimes I win games where I could lose, and I lose games that I could win. So it's a little bit, it's just a little bit random at times. I just some stuff that I noticed throughout the game when I'm playing this. Willie Mays smacking one into the gap, a little bit of a late hit with 2 outs. All this is gonna happen with 2 outs. I mean, a Tony Gwynn base knock, a Willie Mays double. That's going to bring up Lou Gehrig, and he didn't really take a mound visit either. That can be a factor in this game. I thought that this play was going to be made with Ken Griffey Jr., but we see Ken Griffey Jr. get some weird animations out there in the outfield. Just different players play differently, and we see that as well. So I wanted to just include some of the things that I noticed in this video. Rogers Hornsby, this is a power swing. I sent that one up the middle for a base knock. That's going to extend the lead to 3-0. All this with 2 outs is huge. I mean, 2-out rallies happen against me all the time, and I try to do everything I can possible to try and combat them by taking mound visits. I know it's early on in the game. You might not want to take one, but I think that some of that stuff with the confidence and the pitcher's meter is overpowered at times as well. I definitely think that there are some stuff in the game that can be adjusted or that can be altered, but overall, I've had a lot of fun playing this year's game. I just like to point out some of the differences that I notice when I am playing some of these ranked seasons games. I try to be as analytical as possible. Back-to-back extra base hits with 2 outs. I mean, pitches that were thrown over the middle of the plate. I'm not sure, once again, what his feedback was like. Another ball off the wall. I felt like I missed that one with Piazza. He did bring in, or he did leave in a lefty, though, to face him. So there are different things that come into play there. Sometimes when this happens, where I notice that the ball seems to be carrying a little bit more than other games, I feel like the wind's still implemented into the game somehow. The wind visual is not there. It doesn't really tell you that the wind's blowing in or out, but I do feel that sometimes the ball is launched off the bat at a higher exit velocity consistently some games than others, and I could be completely wrong on that, just something that I've noticed. But in this one so far, I mean, I was able to get a pretty good lead, 7-0. I'm trying to extend Orel Hershiser as many innings as possible. After the last few games of ranked seasons I've played, I have had a little bit of difficulty getting my starter through the 5th inning, 6th inning, stuff like that. So I've been using my bullpen a lot. They are kind of gassed. So I'm trying to get some of these games completed with my starting pitcher. But the opponent is able to square that one up. We ended up winning that game 7-2. And I just wanted to try and include as many games of ranked seasons as possible, get a couple different players involved, and get the team back to where it was. And once again, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm College Lefty, and take care.